I just think that this is a universe that is on purpose. That's just one of the things that science teaches us and so on. And I don't really rely very much on science for what it is that I believe, because science can, when we talk about whether this is, I'll hear people say, well, that's not evidence-based and so on. And, we know that everybody who ever showed up here in this universe showed up exactly when they were supposed to, by the virtue of the fact that they did.
Right.
And and we know that everybody that's in this universe that we've ever heard about has left it. That we notice that everything that's physical and material dematerializes. We know that. We watch our bodies go through that, and we watch, our homes go through that, and we watch the flowers go through. We watch everything go through that. And yet science can never give us an answer to the big questions about, what is that thing called non-being or spirit or formlessness or the Tao or God or spirit? What is that? I mean, the really great lessons of life. I mean, all of us are here. We're all walking around. We all talk. We all think, and we never stop to think that, that every thought that we have is invisible. You can't get a hold of it. You can't see it. You don't know where it came from. You don't know where it's going to go. And that's the real essence of where we live, isn't it? I mean, we live in a formless universe, and the form part of it, I mean, even in quantum physics, they teach us that it's the space between the particles, that makes everything happen. It's out of the void, but science can't explain the void. No one can explain the void. So you just have to go to something that I call your intuition. And as you become more, I just always liked Einstein's line about, learn to think like God thinks. That's all he wanted to do. And as you think, whatever the creative source of this universe is, I know that I came from it, because I'm in this world just like all the rest of us are. And so it seems to make sense to me that if I want to be able to be a part of the creative process and create the kind of life that I would like to create, that I have to act like that and think like whatever the creative source is, whatever you want to call it. God is fine for me, So it's like, to me, it's like acting like that. So how does creation take place? How do things happen? It isn't done violently. Like every morning, all of the flowers on the planet open up without any violence.
Right.
And the great wisdom that I've learned from the Tao Te Ching, for example, written 2,500 years ago. I mean, I think about what the world must have looked like 2,500 years ago. There was no running water, and people were living in caves, and it's like life expectancy was just a few years, and yet here there were people out there were these great spiritual teachers who were writing down things that they didn't learn in school, they just, and they've survived for thousands and thousands of years. And I get the sense that it had to happen for a reason. As you're willing to go into the silence, as you're willing to get quiet, as you're willing to be, like I meditate a minimum of an hour every day. Most days it's at least 2 hours. And in that space, in that time of silence, sometimes I meditate when I'm in the ocean as well, but because I spend an hour or so a day in the ocean as well. But in those moments of just total pure silence, I get awarenesses, and I connect to, I think that that's what God is. It's like Melville said it in Moby Dick, God's one and only voice is silence. And when you go to the silence, when you get to that place within you, you start to trust in it, Marcy. It starts to become a friend to you, and you really feel like you're with God. And then the most bizarre things begin to happen. I know that I am participating in the act of creation, and that I can bring into this world virtually anything that I put my attention on, as long as I'm not doing it for me. In other words, for the me being my ego, this thing that we call Wayne, that if I can just get past that and then I can attract it. So I can attract all the love in the universe. I can attract all the abundance in the universe. And it's like, like Tilopa said, you've heard me say it, because you sound like you've listened to me before. Have a mind that's open to everything.
And attached to nothing.
And attached nowhere, attached to nothing. And it's like I have no attachments any longer. I have no attachments to any of my stuff. It's all, I give it all away. I have no attachment to my children. I have no attachment to anyone or anything. I just want to be a being of love. And when I'm in that place, I sense that while we live in a world that has certain kinds of things going on, at the same moment that we are living in that world, that all of these things are going on, there's a world that lives in us. And this world that lives in us, that world is a world that I just trust. And that world says to me, when you can get past the dichotomies, the beginnings and the ends, the ups and the downs, the rights and the wrongs, the males and the females, the goods and the bads, when you can get past all of that and go to this place of oneness, which I only know how to do in meditation, the minute I come out of it, I'm I'm right back into this thing versus that thing and up and down and all of that. But when I'm in that, I just know that that's what I was like before I showed up into this world of being. And that's what I'm headed back to. To know, as T.S. Eliot said, to know that world, to know where we came from for the very first time. We shall not cease from exploration. But at the end of all of our exploring will be to return to the place from which we originated and to know it for the first time, and to know it. And I just know it. That's all I can say is I just know it, and I've learned it in the void. That's where I've learned it.